Hello there! I'm Luca Ricci and I'm a composer. In today's lesson, we will talk about the basics of motives and themes. When analyzing and composing music, it's important to keep a good eye on the terminology and the structures of the music. A fugue subject is not a theme, and a theme is not a melody. To achieve that, we must first get a good grasp on the concept of form. The term form is used in several different senses. When used in connection with binary, ternary, or rondo form, it refers to the number of parts in the structure of the piece, while the phrase sonata form suggests the size of the parts and the complexity of their interrelationship. In speaking of minuet, scherzo, and other dance forms, one has in mind the metre, tempo, and rhythm characteristic which identify the dance. In the aesthetic sense, form means that a piece is organized in different sections. Without organization, music will be an amorphous mess, as unintelligible as an essay without punctuation, or as disconnected as a conversation which leaps purposelessly from one subject to another. The chief requirements for the creation of a comprehensible form are logic and coherence. The presentation, development and interconnection of ideas must be based on relationship. Ideas must be differentiated according to their importance and function. A song, then, is comprised of different parts, which length and number changes depending on the length of the piece. A longer piece may have more parts than a shorter one, even if that is not always the case. These sections of the piece are composed by musical blocks of different type and length. The phrases, the motives, will provide the material for building larger units of various kinds, according to the requirements of the structure. What are these musical blocks? The phrase, which is the smallest structural unit, consisting of a number of integrated musical events, possessing a certain completeness and well adapted to combination with other similar units. The motive is the most characteristic and impressive part of the phrase, comprised by clear and defined intervals and rhythms, combined to produce a memorable shape or contour, which usually implies an inherent harmony. A motive is used by repetition, which may be exact, modified, or developed. Exact repetitions preserve all features and relationships. Transpositions to a different degree, inversions, retrogrades, diminutions, and augmentations are exact repetitions if they preserve strictly the features and not relations. Modified repetitions are created through variation. They provide variety and produce new material, motive forms, for subsequent use. Some variations, however, are merely local variants and have little or no influence on the continuation. Variation, it must be remembered, is repetition in which some features are changed and the rest preserved. All the features of rhythm, interval, harmony and contour are subject to various alterations that should not produce a motive form too foreign in the basic motive. These musical blocks together are used to create the phrases, which put together works to create the theme, but how do you correctly connect motive forms? Common content, rhythmic similarities and coherent harmony contribute to logic. Common content is provided by using motive forms derived from the same basic motive. Rhythmic similarities act as unifying elements. Coherent harmony reinforces relationship. With the logic and coherent use of phrases, we can build the next brick of the form, the theme. The theme is the smallest coherent form we can build and is defined by different requirements that needs to be fulfilled. There must be two phrases, here called sentences, one antecedent and one consequent. There must be a logic behind the proportions of the theme, for example, the antecedent and consequent both being of 2, 3 or 4 bars. There must be a logic behind the harmony of the phrases. The antecedent must end on the 5th, while the consequent ends on the 1st. There must be coherence in the phrases, no totally random stuff happening. If any of the requirements is not met, we will talk about a thematic area, which is often an irregular theme, 2 plus 3 bars for example. When building a complex form, the most important thing is planning the structure of the piece based on the proportions of the phrases, the themes, the length of the piece, and the emotional results that the piece has to achieve in the listeners. The secret to a wonderful piece always resides in knowing from where you came from and in where you want to go. Write schematics and draw diagrams of what happens in your piece. Sketch the themes and the possible variations and elaborations, and build your piece with consciousness and planning like a true artisan. In the next lesson, we will talk about the music of the Renaissance. See ya!